Greetings, hi, hello, what's up, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is hiding and the magpie is casting. Coming at you guys right now with a live 1 versus 1 battle featuring, spawning in the south, it's going to be the American forces of Laurence, the first Vicar. And spawning in the north, it's going to be the Overcommand West forces of Kryptic. So these two players, both new to the channel, so I have no idea how they're going to approach the game. So interested to see hopefully some fresh tactics or new thinking on display today. The map is going to be Crossing in the Woods, so pretty standard map, been in the game for a very long time. No changes as far as I know have been wrought to it during its time on the ladder or off. Yes, one of my favourite maps I think overall, just because it feels very nicely balanced, and possibly I like it because it suits my pretty aggressive strategies. I like to get out there and I like to get in my opponent's face, and on this map, if you can just maintain a hold over this point here, even if you can just decap it down to neutral repeatedly, you can really put a massive dent in your opponent's operations, because of course, if I crack the tactical map, you can see here, it controls this sector here, so if you cut this point off, you normally stop your opponent from getting any resources from this area, or conversely, if you're spawning in the south and you cut this point off here, this one here's the objective, and that cuts off a lot of your opponent's resources, oftentimes, anyway. So, anyway, as the players move out and get settled into the initial scuffles around the map, which I shall attempt to frame, I just got a quick little announcement. I've now got a custom URL, woo! So you can now find the channel at www.youtube.com/c/magpie842. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Happy about that. That should make it easier for people to navigate to the channel, I guess. So yay, custom URLs, woohoo! Yeah, that's pretty cool. There's some other cool stuff going on behind the scenes, but I'm not going to talk about it just yet because it's kind of stuff that's going to be coming in the next week or two anyway, and I think it'll just be more cool and exciting if it just arrives rather than me talking about it. But let's just say that there's going to be a couple of other changes around the channel as time moves on. So let's turn our attention to the battle. Seems like the United States player, Laurence, the first Vicar, who I'll probably just call Laurence moving forwards, the first Vicar, quite a mouthful there. 3 squads of riflemen, that's pretty standard stuff from the American player there. Let's have a look, check the tech right here. Looks like we've got a 4th squad of riflemen just coming. For the Overcommand player, we've got 3 squads of Volksgrenadiers with a 4th squad coming along just now. So pretty standard stuff out of both players, and dare I say it, just a touch boring. No Kubelwagen, no 2nd squad of Storm Pioneers to mix it up, which, to be honest, actually, this is a terrible map for a 2nd squad of Storm Pioneers, so I'm not really sure why I'm suggesting that, but, yeah. Anyway, so 4 squads of Riflemen, 4 squads of Volksgrenadiers means we're going to see a lot of combat like this. Troops standing in cover, taking shots at each other, trying to win the attrition war, and I have to say, this is a fight which typically the USF are quite well positioned to take. Now, ooh, these Storm Pioneers here are actually caught a little bit out. Their retreat path is going to take them past another Rifleman squad here, but the fallback came down in good time here from Kryptic, and so they're going to survive. But as I was saying, these kind of fights, taken at long range in cover like this, which what Riflemen tend to do, and what they're most effective at, those kind of fights ought to favour the American player. The Riflemen are more accurate, and they do have a superior rate of fire, owing to the semi-automatic Garand rifle, which they are in possession of. The Volksgrenadiers are pretty good, and they're a lot better now than they used to be. They cost more now, of course. They're 250 manpower, but they are they are pretty accurate soldiers. And the KAR-98K now hits for regular damage, so they can do some work. And we see that here in mid as 3 squads of Volks able to clear out a squad of riflemen and a squad of rear echelon. And that's going to enable them to push up and take the central victory point. Now, there is a squad of American forces here capping the munitions point. That's dimly frustrating for the Overcommand player, but a munitions point is not a fuel point, and whilst this is annoying and is going to mean that he's going to have fewer munitions at his disposal, it's not the setback that a fuel point is. Indeed, actually, conversely, on the other side of the map, there are a squad of Volksgrenadiers here just returning the favour. So that munitions disparity will be fairly even. Indeed, actually, there are some Storm Pioneers out here, and they're going to be capping this fuel point from the American player. Now, the left-hand fuel point, as you can see on the minimap here, is presently under Axis control, so if he's able to take both of these fuel points, that should give him a bit of a lead in terms of tech, and of course that's turbo-relevant. That's kind of what the early game is sort of about. It's all about trying to get that fuel lead so that you can get your big hitters onto the field earlier. and then dominate the mid and late game. So interesting stuff here from the Axis player. It seems like he's gonna. Seems like he's prioritizing those fuel points. Although actually, here comes the US response, and these rear echelons are going to take this fuel point right back. So reasonably standard stuff there. Neither player has chosen a commander just yet, and it looks like pretty standard stuff on the rosters from both of them. Nothing too spicy there. No Feuersturm doctrine or Overwatch doctrine or anything like that from the Overcommand player. And is this the Calliope commander? Yeah, okay, so we've got the Calliope commander. The tactical support company has showed up, and I kind of hope that we see that because it's new and exciting and pretty cool, and, you know, I actually quite like the Calliope. I've only seen it in a couple of games, so I haven't formed any opinion on its relative power level, though I have heard a lot of people saying it's a little too good. I think it's, personally speaking, it's too early to tell. My opinion on that matter is, in the nascent stages, far too underdeveloped to really count for anything. Anyway, it looks like we've got a Mechanized Regiment HQ coming out here from the Overcommand player, and that, of course, means that we've got an early Panzer II Lux coming out onto the field. So that's going to get some good work done. Now, there is a captain just coming onto the... Well, he's actually on the field already. There is a captain on the field here. So there's going to be a Zook on the field already. That's going to help, but it's not going to be enough. Now, the captain does give the US player access to the Stuart, the AT gun, and the pack howitzer. Let's just check the AT gun. Oh yes. There we go. Sorry, I hardly ever... I think USF is my most least played faction. I like them a lot, don't get me wrong. It's just I always prefer playing as Brits or Soviets when I play as the Allies. So my knowledge of the USF is probably like the least well developed. Anyway, so yeah, that captain there, he's going to provide access to the AT guns, to the Stuart, and to that pack howitzer. The Stuart, of course, is a fantastic counter to a Panzer II Lux, and the American player is stacking up fuel right now. He has invested in a 3/4-ton ambulance, which is right now healing his troops in his base. But if he does go for the Stuart, that should be enough to push back the Panzer II. And he is now heavily incentivized to do so. The Panzer II has revealed itself, and it's going to force back some infantry here on the left flank. So that Stuart now looking pretty appealing, I would have thought, for the American player. He's going to have to save up a little bit more fuel, but he should be able to put that Stuart on the build queue in the next minute. So look to see the plucky light tank coming out from the American forces sooner rather than later. Now, American forces actually making pretty good gains across the map. A lot of the Axis troops have been forced back to base to reinforce and rearm. So there has been a little bit of a window here for the American forces to get something done. This captain here, wow, he's going to try and take the fight in no cover. There we go, yeah, he's going to reposition now. I was going to say that's a bit risky. Some damage has been inflicted to the Panzer II. That'll be a bazooka hit from the captain, I would have thought. And he's going to garrison himself in this building back here. Pretty smart choice, I suppose. And if I crack the tack, you can see the story. It's been a pretty even affair so far. Both players are able to maintain more or less half of the map, and little windows of opportunity for each player as their opponent falls back to reinforce. So pretty even state of affairs so far. The scoreline reflecting that, about 20 points between the two players right now. Well, 19. Yeah, so the American player has a small lead. So Laurence there, pulling out a small lead. Got a little scuffle developing here on the left flank. Some rear echelons going to be laying into some Volksgrenadiers here. Clearly that's a fight that the Volksgrenadiers should be able to take, especially with help from another squad here. And here comes a Panzer II to put the nail in the coffin for these rear echelon troops. They're going to have to get out. And the Stuart is now on the production queue for the American player, so the window of freedom that this Stuart has had is going to be closing soon. Now, having said that, two of the Volksgrenadier squads do have Panzerschrecks, and so this Stuart's going to have to be careful. I mean, the Panzer II can do it some damage. It's not a lot, but it can damage the Stuart. And in conjunction with two Panzerschrecks, that Stuart's going to have to tread a little bit carefully. So we'll see how the American player, we'll see how his micro is, we'll see how his decision-making with his positioning on that tank is, and we'll see what he's able to make of it. Now, a commander has been chosen for Kryptic, the Overcommand player. He's gone for the Luftwaffe Ground Forces doctrine, and that's going to enable him to summon the MG-34 machine gun team, and we see that entering the field just now. So we have to... Oh, and he's also going to use Fallschirmjägers. They're going to pop out here and get some work done on these riflemen. Good position for these Fallschirmjägers. This ought to be a fight that they can take, although there is a BAR on the riflemen. That substantially increases their DPS, and there's another rifleman squad coming in for support. And actually, I'm looking at the health over these two units now. if you'd have asked me, I would have said some Fallschirmjägers in a building at this range would have taken a rifleman squad, even if they did have a BAR. But that is not seemingly the case. The Luke's comes across to assist, and the Stuart's going to cut him off. The Stuart uses the, what is that, the target weak point? No, the shell shock ability to stun the Lukes, and that is going to be a kill there. The captain there getting a timely bazooka round to assist, and the Stuart is going to have to just manhandle that Lukes. That Lukes has died, and I would say it's probably died before it paid for itself. I don't think that was a very efficient Lukes whatsoever, and this Stuart now has not free reign. There's 2 Panzerschrecks on the field, but this Stuart can now get a lot of work done, and it can, you know, even against these Panzerschreck squads, it can kite all day. The Stuart, I think probably it's safe to say the best all-rounder light tank in the game. I mean, it's just pretty great. And, you know, on the few times I've played as Americans and built them, and on the probably more numerous times that I've managed to steal one, yeah, it's a favourite unit of mine. Now, so Mine's in a good position here, going to do a number on this captain squad. That's going to force a fallback, but the Volksgrenadiers here also going to have to fall back, and there could be a squad wipe going down here. 5 riflemen are firing at this one Volksgrenadier. It looks like, yeah, he's just going to escape. That narrow one there for Kryptic. He stood to lose a squad there, and it seems like luck has shone upon him just then, so he's going to get out of that one. Now these Volksgrenadiers are, they were able to see off that squad, and actually now would be a really good time for them to just try and take a dive and grab this point. Although I suppose it wouldn't actually cut anything off, actually, if you look at the map, so maybe not that valid of a shout there. My instinct is always just to try and cap these points on this map. Anyway, the Stuart's going to transition across, and that will see off these Volksgrenadiers. In fact, you know, they're under-supported, so this Stuart could chase, and if it does, there could be a squad wipe going there. A scuffle developing outside the Axis player's base, though, as riflemen engaging Volksgrenadiers here. The Volksgrenadiers are going to try and move across here. That Stuart did chase. Wow, it's awkwardly chasing rear armor first, though. That is super awkward. And these Volksgrenadiers going to get set up in a building. There comes a Shrek, and that's a good hit. That's going to force the Stuart to be scarce, and it's going to have to scurry on back. Now, of course, obviously playing as Americans, you can pop the crew out of that vehicle and get it repairing pretty rapidly. So we'll probably see the American player do that once he finds a location he deems to be safe. Wow, these riflemen are actually going to get defeated at this range. I mean, they were pretty weak, down to 3 men each, but interesting stuff. Weapon rack research coming down pretty early, I have to say, out of Laurence. That's pretty atypical. I don't often see it come down that early. Those BARs have been on the field for some time now. And, oh wow, he's got the 1919... no, wait, really? Why is this LMG rack here? I guess it must not be available for use until you choose the commander. Right, yeah, that must be right. Anyway, so yeah, here's the BAR rack. And yeah, these riflemen with BARs, they're pretty spicy. I believe he's got like 1 per squad at the moment, which is pretty nice, across the 3 squads which have them. So anyway, yeah, let's see now. He knows his opponent, the American player Laurence, knows his opponent has a mechanized regiment HQ, so I'm just thinking, you know, what does he have to prepare for? He probably doesn't have to invest in an AT gun for a while. The Stuart and the captain will probably have his AT needs covered. He knows his opponent is stuck on Werfermann's Panzer II Lukes and the Puma, and there's been no sight of a Schwerer Panzer HQ. So... Oh, indeed, it's the Battlegrupper HQ. That's going to be deployed in base for some in-base healing. Now, I would much have preferred that to be constructed here. I think that would be a much more useful position for it. But that's just me, and I don't know why. I just don't like building the Battlegrupper HQ in the base. I just don't like doing it. It just feels wrong to me. So I'm going to stick to my guns on that one and just say I still think it's wrong. This Stuart here, just the crew are out of it right now because they're capping, so they're going to hop back in a second. Get that tank rolling. There we go. Axis forces pushing on the right, whilst the USF pushing on the left. So kind of a little like 2 sumo wrestlers circling in the ring. Just kind of pushing and shoving each other around, but no committed engagements being taken yet, no pitched battles, neither player really putting anything on the line at the moment. The American player, he's going for that pack howitzer, so he's going to be the first to get some indirect fire on the field, and that's a nice choice. I think his forces at the moment pretty well rounded, and adding an indirect fire option, going to round them out even more. Going to get a nice squad wipe here on a unit of Volksgrenadiers. That's pretty inconvenient for the Axis player. And since Overcommand have changed to full munitions and fuel income, they no longer have that massive manpower float which they have had historically. And so losing a squad like that, actually pretty punishing, because Kryptic is going to have to actually, you know, replace them at cost and delay other units if he wants to replace them, or he's just going to have to deal with the fact that he's now down to 3 squads of Volks, when he appeared to want to play with 4. So, yeah, pretty annoying times though. This Stuart is doing fantastic work. Having destroyed the Panzer II Lux, there is actually a Panzerwerfer on the field. Now, that's going to be a miss initially, kind of skimming the ground right here, but it may get another shot. Nope, no line of sight forthcoming, so no second shot. Hang on a second, just going to mute my mic. Pardon me, just clearing my throat. It is more or less winter now in England. I mean, it is actually, technically speaking, winter. A little bit of a digression here. It is actually winter, but it has been like the warmest winter on record. It hasn't even felt like winter at all. Crazy stuff's been going on, like plants have been shooting, little flowers coming out, like birds have been flying. All the stuff which shouldn't be happening at this time of year, it's kind of going on. So a little bit concerning from an ecological point of view. But winter is more or less here. And so all of the typical winter viruses and illnesses are still going around, and I am still not quite on 100%. You know what is on 100% though? That pack howitzer just smashing 3 Storm Pioneers down in their prime, an expensive squad to lose, and that's going to rack up, yep, half a level of veterancy here for the pack howitzer. Apparently only killing 2 of them. Okay, I guess this captain must have gotten another one of them. But yeah, the Stuart's going to get right up on top of this, Rakettenwerfer. And this is looking like pretty bad times right now for the Axis player. This Stuart needs to get out. Oh dear, it's getting a bit confused on the terrain here. Uh-oh, I'm pretty sure the American player did not mean to do that, but I think he's still going to get the Rakettenwerfer. These Volks doing everything they can with their Panzerschreck, but it's not going to be enough, I think, to get the Stuart, unless the Rakettenwerfer can get a parting shot, and it's not, as the crew get destroyed. And the Stuart's going to escape, nearly at 2-star veterancy, and the captain even going to stay to destroy the Panzerwerfer, the Rakettenwerfer. That is insult to injury. And things kind of falling apart a little bit here for Kryptic. If I correct the tack, you can see he's losing map control, he's behind on resources, he doesn't have much in the way of map presence, most of his units in the base reinforcing, and now's a good time for the American player to set up a soft siege around the base. If he can push up this pack howitzer, you know, if he's feeling aggressive, he could push it up to right here, or, you know, a slightly safer option is probably going to be here, actually. Yeah, it's looking pretty dire right now for Kryptic. He's down to 3 squads of Volks, a machine gun, and there's a Fallschirmjäger. And yeah, he's got 3 Shreks on the Volks, but that Stuart can still kite all day, so the Stuart's still a big threat, which is locking down the map. Now, in response to that, Kryptic's going to choose a Puma, and that's a pretty smart choice. I like the Puma, I especially like it against American players, because the Puma is effective against Shermans, and unless they go for that Pershing commander, you know, the Shermans are pretty much the heaviest thing you have to worry about from the USF. So this Puma's a nice choice, and you know, when I play over command against the USF, I do make extensive use of the Puma. It's a spicy unit, and it's especially spicy against USF. So probably going to see some work done by that unit as long as Kryptic is able to keep it alive. I mean, it could lose to a Stuart in a really bad fight, and there are some bazookas out in the field. It's also wiggling around doing awkward stuff here, just getting shot up by a unit here. And I think the BAR will do damage to the Puma, very, very slight damage, but over time it can whittle a little bit of health off the Puma, I think. Yeah, Kryptic's going to have to be cognizant of that and try and get his Puma to a safe spot. MG34 getting set up in a smart position here. That's going to force these American riflemen back. And Kryptic's going to have to try and make a move out of his base. You know, he's fallen behind in a big way on the scoreline. 308 under 425 right now. So, yeah. Wow, he's even lost one of his base defenses. That's kind of annoying. If by some miracle the American player could garrison that, I would laugh so hard. That would just be brutal. Anyway, grenade barrage going to come down here. Actually, I take that back, sorry, it's just the incendiary grenade ability. But Laurence, the first Vicar, he's well ahead of it, and he's going to get those riflemen to safety. Whoa, I don't know about engaging from this range. Yeah, his Fallschirmjäger just got chewed up trying to run into the heavy cover here. Never underestimate the power of riflemen, especially when they have BARs. It would have been much safer to try and take that fight from behind this cover, or this cover. You don't, I mean, Fallschirmjäger are elite troops. Their accuracy, even at mid and long range, is very good. Their DPS at mid and long range is very good. So I think at long range they can probably take a squad of riflemen with a BAR. Moving into mid and close range, that appears to be like a no-chancer. So anyway, whoa, the Puma is going to try and face off against the Stuart, but the Stuart was close enough there to use one of its crazy vehicle-disabling shots, and actually, you know what, the Puma's doing just fine against the front armor on the Stuart. So, sorry, the Stuart's doing just fine against the front armor on the Puma. The stun shot comes down, and this Stuart stands to take the Puma. Oh, the Puma's going to get one more shot. Oh, that was a close one. That was a close one. And you kind of feel like, I mean, you know, the Puma, just in terms of unit matchup, you know, its designated role is a light armor hunter. It is supposed to destroy. Stuarts. That's supposed to be what happens. I've just missed an insane barrage here, haven't I? All of Oh dear. Oh no, I can't believe I missed that. Okay, basically all of the Overcommand players' units just died horribly. Yeah, that was a Calliope. Wow. Wow. So that was what, 3 squads of Volks and the Fallschirmjäger, and they are dead. Wow. Well, I'm really sorry I missed that. I was covering what I thought was the most important moment going on the field, which was the duel between this Puma and the Stuart. But damn. Wow, that Calliope. That is, I mean, proof of concept. You know, indirect fire, if you can get it onto your opponent's retreat point when they fall back their squads, has always been a really lethal technique. But the saturation on that Calliope there, leaving nothing alive. Brutal techniques there. And Laurence the First Vicar is going to be your victor here. In a brutal display. So congratulations to him there. A good game between these two players, but one which you have to feel Laurence was just pretty much on top of the whole way through. My god, he's even stacking like 900 manpower and a good amount of fuel here. So yeah, pretty dominant display there from the United States player. Yeah, I guess I'll hop back out onto the live games lobby and try and find another one to bring you guys. So stay tuned for more, and for now, this is Magpie842 signing out.